These are some important questions. Self-concept. What have you learned about yourself from the trip? The values. How have your values changed? Are you showering for still so long? Are you using your water wisely? Expectations. What expectations have you had to face and give to God? Expectations of coming home. Expectations of what you would accomplish on the trip. Sense of loss. How can you give yourself closure and work what you have learned into everyday life? The reasons you went on this trip should have been because of the desire to change the world in yourself. This desire to change the world in yourself shouldn't end when you return home. How you handle re-entry, which is the main thing we're talking about today, to a great extent will determine if you are going to continue to be affected and have an effect. So right here is Hebrews 11, 8-13. And if someone could read that and just think about that. Think about that as you're reading through this paper and thinking about Abraham and how that relates to you. So we got some tips here on how to prepare yourself and your family for a more positive re-entry experience.
The first option is to take everything you learned on your trip and put it into a suitcase and throw it in the closet, acting like you never even went. The second option is to take all that you've learned and all of your experiences and force them on everyone in your current life and be like, this is how we're living life now. The third option is to take everything that you learned and work on applying it and using it in your current life, how that looks now.
Hopefully by now you will have some idea of how you will be able to share with your church or individuals or your supporting group about your trip. We have some sharing your story tips that might help you to organize your thoughts and get things down to specific times where people can really understand different stories. Some of us are more natural storytellers than others, so some of us need a little help. So maybe drawing a picture, writing a poem, or finding a creative way to symbolize the most important thing that God taught you on the trip. This is super important. Also, understanding that there's going to be different kinds of opportunities. There's going to be those, hi, how was your trip? I'm walking. I'm not going to stop walking while I'm talking, kind of. You got 1 second to tell me what happened. But then you might also have the people who sit you down and say, hey, I've got 10 minutes. I want to hear it all. So having a brief overview for those who just want to break the ice and say, hey, how was your trip? But also have a couple of minutes to share for those who are a little more interested. And then also a more in-depth picture for those who have really invested in you and really deserve to know, hey, what happened with my investment? How did you do? Another thing to do, pick your favorite 10 pictures from the trip and put them in the order of most important. Like, hey, these are the moments that were captured on film, because it's always nice when you can share a picture. It shares it a lot more fully than your words probably can do. Think about you and God. The things that change between you two, you and others, your team, you in the future. What does this mean for the future? Those are some questions to answer when people ask you how your trip went. And also you and gratitude. What were you most thankful for? Maybe even spending some time now that you're back in the U.S. to send some thank you notes to people in Brazil and to your supporters. So when sharing at a church, thank them for their support and share a couple of those things, and then get specifics about how you're available and how much time you have to share, so it works well with whatever else is going on. So just like on your trip, when we suggested maybe you journal or you write a letter to yourself or some letters to yourself, we strongly suggest that you use this as a way to facilitate a smooth transition to coming home. So take the last letter or journal handout. This is your devotional homework for this week. Making sure there's a lot of questions here. You don't have to answer all of them, but think about them, pray about them, do write some of them down. This will help you and have a lasting documentation of what's going on in your head and what God is doing in your life.
World Renewal Brazil wants to make these trips as best as possible, so please give us your feedback on how we can make these short-term missions trips even better. As well, we have all worked to invest in you, so we want to hear from you. How are you going to continue to be involved in the ministry? How are you going to make your short-term missions trip have a long-term impact?